Let's begin with news from the previous week that proves that Allah is the GOAT when it comes to being an absolute failure. I mean, look at his beloved and final prophet Muhammad. He died like a dog after being poisoned by a Jewish woman. Umar, the wife-beater and second rightly guarded caliph of Islam, was slaughtered like a chicken by a common Persian slave. Uthman, the third rightly guarded caliph, was grabbed by the beard and stabbed in the skull multiple times by a bunch of rebels. And who can forget Ali, the beloved caliph of Shias, who was struck over the head with a poisonous sword in a mosque during Ramadan. Allah sure knows how not to protect the ones they love, and as they have done in the past, they did again on Sunday the 19th of May. They are an ever-failing God. I mean, this is the perfect moment to use the plural of majesty to refer to this majestic failure. For the fortunately clueless, this is about the death of Ebrahim Raisi, the president of the Islamic Republic and the butcher of Tehran. The Ummah lost this dearly beloved terrorist when a helicopter carrying him and 9 others dutifully crashed in Uzi village. He would have been alive today if he had ridden on a camel like his beloved prophet, but these Shias sure don't know how to listen. Ebrahim Raisi was an exceptional man. His contribution to society is immeasurable, and it's just sheer Islamophobia that a man like him doesn't get a Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, look at Barack Obama. He turned Libya into a disastrous desolation and got a Nobel Peace Prize for his troubles. Abiy Ahmed of Ethiopia is having a blast with the ongoing Amhara genocide, and even he has a Nobel Peace Prize. Yet a Shia can't receive his flowers while he is alive. Hopefully the deception of Allah won't hit him in the afterlife, preventing him from an eternity of deflowering houris with translucent skin and enormous breast. Anyway, the great work of Raisi include conducting 5-minute trials that sentenced over 5,000 people to death in the 1980s. He arrested and killed protesters during the Women Life Freedom movement in 2022, even using rape to quell protests in his country. He gleefully oversaw the firing of over 300 missiles in Israel that only succeeded in killing a Bedouin girl in the West Bank. His honorable government enforced the execution of a 16-year-old girl sentenced to death for being the guilty victim of rape. He also managed the execution of between 4,000 to 6,000 gays and lesbians in Iran since the country's 1978 Islamic Revolution. His administration was so pro-LGBTQ that it ordered the gender-affirming castration of those guilty of being gay. He made them trans according to this Twitter intellectual. And that's 100% accurate. Raisi transitioned more gay people than the Tavistock Center. And it's not just Twitter luminaries. The epitome of journalistic prowess in Europe declared that Raisi had a mixed legacy in Iran. And I agree. On one hand, he slaughtered so many people, but on the other hand, those people were emitting agents of carbon dioxide. His legacy is a mixture of mass killing his population and combating climate change unconventionally and passionately. You can always trust the moral compass of the same media institution that made Adolf Hitler the cover of Time magazine. They perfectly understand that everything is not black and white, and people like Ebrahim Raisi had all the colors of the rainbows, just as the queers in the pro-Hamas rallies. So it's no surprise to hear echoes of condolence messages around the globe. If I didn't know better, and maybe I don't, I would have thought that this was the death of a modern-day Jesus Christ. But then, Jesus didn't die. It was made to appear that way by the greatest of deceivers. Maybe that's the case for Raisi. This might be one of Allah's incompetent illusions, but the eulogies are popping out like Muhammad's premature ejaculation. The United States, the EU, NATO, the US Senate. Modi of India was so grieved that he declared a one-day state mourning. Abdul Fattah of Egypt declared his death a horrendous loss. Erdogan of Turkey bawled for the loss of a colleague and brother. Putin wept for the demise of a true friend of Russia. Xi Jinping took a break from locking up Uyghurs to call this a great loss. Then we heard from the good guys like Hezbollah. They called him a strong protector. Hamas declared him an honorable supporter. The Houthis extolled him as a shaheed. And the US still can't find a direct connection between Iran and these organizations. Hamas leaders were present at the funeral. This grown man was wailing like a hungry child in sub-Saharan Africa. Shias were unenthusiastically beating their chests in the streets as the Ayatollah declared 6 days of relentless mourning. Even the UN Security Council held a moment of silence for the true hero and symbol of peace and progress in the Middle East. This is a rare moment in history, ladies and gentlemen, where the man who sought to destroy the West is being mourned by leaders and institutions in the West. Why the who is morally bankrupt were swimming and drowning in the sea of ceaseless tears and boundless sorrows. The people of Iran, from Tehran to Germany, we are having a blast, throwing fireworks, dancing in the streets, and making memes. Raisi has become the new subject of the helicopter meme song. There's even a dance to go with it, and this is his noble legacy. Here is the beautiful face of one of the recipients of Raisi's humanitarian and progressive effort in the Islamic Republic, and her condolence message to the Iranian people says, From the bottom of my heart, I congratulate you all. Ebrahim Raisi went to hell. Wow, evidently the Iranian people grieve differently. If only the Western elites can borrow a leaf from those they claim to be consoling. And it looks like Raisi seemed to have foreshadowed his demise. His last tweet states, "The divine hand of vengeance will emerge at the right place and time, and the sponsors of the terrorist attack will pay a regrettable price." Mashallah. Allah has used Raisi just like he used other terrorist leaders to confirm the revelation in the Torah. Raisi is al-Bakra made flesh, confirming the perfect message of Solomon in the book of Proverbs, which says, "When the wicked perish, there are shouts of joy." Meanwhile, the ICC has been busy. They have gone to great lengths last week to show that justice is deaf, dumb, and blind. On Monday, ICC prosecutor Karim Khan announced an application for arrest warrants for Bibi Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant. In the spirit of fairness, he also announced an application for arrest warrants for Yahya Sinwar and Ismail Haniyeh. The ICC is Donald Trump after the neo-Nazi protests in Charlottesville. Apparently, there are fine people on both sides. And ICC prosecutors have become TikTok dancers, jumping on every trend, desperately trying to grasp relevance. Protesters were shot and killed by the military in Nigeria in October 2022, and the ICC had zero interest in that case. Erdogan has been slaughtering courts in Turkey, but it didn't become a trend on TikTok, so that's clearly not the ICC's jurisdiction. But God forbid that a democratically elected leader of the only liberal democracy in the Middle East should go to war against a bunch of desert-dwelling rapists desperate to become shaheeds. And now we have the undivided attention of the ICC. And the IQ of Lady Justicia can't differentiate between the army that brutally rapes women and the one trying to rescue those women. While we were trying to digest the outstanding stupidity of the ICC, some leaders in Europe had more stupidity to dish out. The governments of Ireland, Norway, and Spain have announced that they will formally recognize a Palestinian state from 28 May. The spokesperson for Spain and Ireland said that their decision was made in support of peace, not as an attack on Israel. Obviously, nothing is more peaceful than having an independent terrorist state in the pocket of Iran share a border with Israel. Judging from the numerous missile strikes coming from Lebanon since October 7, that's definitely a step in the right direction. It is safe to assume that the heads of some of these leaders in the West are filled with coconut water. They have no brains. What qualifies you to lead a nation these days is heavily determined by how brainless and hopelessly stupid you can be. Even Salman Rushdie, an ardent advocate for a two-state solution, recognized in a recent interview that now is not the time for it. Is this the reward for terrorism? If a bunch of rabid rapists attack the shores of Spain, killing grandmas and setting babies on fire, will they get a state? Hey Spain, when will you grant Catalonia independence? Or will it come after they conduct an October 7? Spain and co. made this announcement at the same time when new footage of Hamas's peaceful atrocities had just been released. This one features 5 Israeli women, Liri, Karina, Agam, Daniela, and Naama. I want you to remember their names and their faces the next time these kafir-wearing, empty-headed buffoons tell you resistance is justified when people are occupied. These women could be seen with their hands tied behind their backs, faces decorated with their own blood, sitting next to dead bodies that happen to be those of their fellow countrymen. One of them had her pants covered in blood, just like Muhammad intended. The peaceful freedom-fighting monsters that kidnapped them could be seen in the midst of them praying to the one true God of the despicable, in case you are in doubt of their religious persuasion. And this is what it means to be a devout member of the religion of peace. The IDF also uncovered the dead bodies of 4 hostages hidden in a tunnel located inside an UNRWA building in Rafah. One of the bodies is that of Shani Luke, a German citizen, and the UNRWA building in Rafah was funded by KfW Bank, a German state-owned bank. But all that shouldn't get in the way of giving this band of degenerates a state. I mean, what could go wrong? As for the pro-Hamas simpletons in the West, they are more focused on important things like the Arabic word of the week, shabaya. The word was used by a peaceful Hamas savage to address the female hostages whom he was nice enough to call beautiful. The word means sex slave, and that's what the freedom fighter called the Jewish women they had just abducted, beaten, and raped. But the Muslims in the West, with taqiyya-infested lips, and the communists with maggot-infested brains, say it just means young lady. Of course, that's why moving forward, I propose the notion that every Muslim woman should be honorably called shabaya. After all, they are all sex slaves, whose sole purpose on this earth is to open their legs to the superior male slave of their Arabian demon and push out more slaves for him, who ultimately fulfill the purpose of becoming a shaheed and gain an eternity of sexual penetration. As far as the religion of peace is concerned, that's all a woman can ever be, a sex slave, the Jewish kind or the Muslim kind, take a pick. That's the excellent reputation of Islamic feminism, and we see it with Chibok girls in Nigeria and Yazidi girls in Syria. We see it with Hindu women in Pakistan and Coptic Christian women in Egypt. We even see it with British women in the UK. But that's just resistance rape, right? I'm happy to see so many in the West eager to do PR for the religion of peace, religiously coming up with dumb excuses and lies. And it's a welcome development to see Western governments reward acts of terrorism as any moral person is supposed to do. Continue giving precious things to pigs. Just know this, that as long as the earth remains, seed time and harvest will never cease.